All right, the Chiefs and the Ravens, it's a big matchup in the AFC Championship. And today, we're going to talk about some key players on the Chiefs side, some key matchups, along with the keys to the game. Lots of keys in this show, all coming up right here on the Chiefs Support by Chat Sports. We are happy that you chose to take some time out of your day to hang out with us right here. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and I'm telling you what, if you're going to hang out with me and Sam on Saturday during the game, or on Sunday rather, then like the video. We're going live at 12 p.m. Central Time, 2 hours before game time at 2. So if you're hanging out with us, if you're going to come spend some time, then guess what? Get down there and like the video. I'd certainly appreciate it, and we're going to make sure we get a head count for this game. Let's talk about some Chiefs injuries before we go too far in here. These are the main ones that I'm worried about for this game. We have Joe Thuney with the pec injury, looking like he will not play. Sky Moore, who I'm hesitant to see if they'll put him out there. Given the offense has been so good since he has left, I don't really want him out there just because I feel like that could mess up the vibe. And the Derek Nottie, we saw how the defensive line last week versus the Bills wasn't exactly as good as it was in prior games with Nottie in the line. So he's more of a key than I think we probably realized. I'm hoping he's there, but I'm a little concerned at right now. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait. The big thing is we're pretty healthy for this game, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there's nothing like glaringly obvious where you're looking at that like, oh my gosh, that's going to be so big. Like, you know, Isiah Pacheco, he's going to be fine. You're going to have Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have Travis Kelce. Rashee Rice is good. For the most part, you're going to have pretty much all of your playmakers out there, especially on the offensive side. Defensively, just kind of a couple dinged up guys, really all it is. And most of the guys in an AFC Championship game, you're going to play through some dings up. You're not going to, miss any of that. Ravens-wise, it does look like Mark Andrews is going to play against the Chiefs. So that kind of adds a different thing. But Coach Spags did say that they are planning for this. He basically kind of came out and basically was like, okay, we know that Andrews has a chance to play. So because of that, we are going to prepare like he is playing. That way we are ready for anything. And if he's not, that's one less guy to worry about. That's good to know that they're planning for it. The hard thing is, with Isiah likely in the way he's been playing this season, I'm a little worried the Ravens may be able to kind of really shake up their offense. So we'll have to see, but hey, we'll learn that in time. Let's talk about some players to watch for the Kansas City Chiefs that I think could be the ones that could really make or break this game. The first one is an obvious one. It's been one that I've honestly said pretty much the past 5 weeks now, and it's Isiah Pacheco. He's really come alive in this year, and honestly, there's not been a sophomore slump. In fact, I would call this more of a breakout year than a sophomore slump. He's really a lot better than he was last year. He almost had 1,000 yards in the season, and in the postseason, he's been the guy. A touchdown in each of the games, nearing 200 yards on almost 40 carries. And when you're averaging almost 5 yards per carry, you deserve a lot of carries, and I hope Andy Reid gives it to him because, listen, the secondary for the Ravens is going to be tough. You can get the ground game going early. Guess what? This offense is also going to get going early. And I think that's the key here. I don't really understand the whole thing of Pacheco one run, and then we're going to give Clyde 2 runs in the early part. It should be a heavy dose of Isiah Pacheco throughout the first quarter. I want to see him in a lot of different packages. Heck, maybe even give it to him on a jet sweep. I would like to see that. I trust his ball handling. And overall, I think he could be a really big piece to this offense going in the early part of the game, which we'll talk more about here in a little bit. But before we do that, let's go into another player to watch, and then let's go to the defensive side here with Willie Gay Jr. Now, Willie Gay dealt with a neck stiffness injury all throughout the week, but he's going to be a huge part in this game. He needs to control Lamar Jackson, and this isn't more or less just for Willie Gay, but with also Drew Tranquill, with Nick Bolton. You can't have happen what you had last week. And if you're wondering what happened last week, it was Josh Allen, 70 yards on the ground on just 12 carries. That can't happen with Lamar because Josh Allen is a bigger guy in the open field. You can kind of corral him. Lamar Jackson, open field tackling, is probably one of the hardest things to do in the National Football League. In fact, I was watching the game with my buddy and just kind of looking at this and watching him run against the Texans. It is so hard to know where he's going to go. Is he going to cut? How is this all going to work out? So I would like to see the Chiefs have a game plan for this because running quarterbacks have been somewhat of an issue for them all year long. And now you face the creme de la creme Lamar Jackson. So how can you go about it? We'll find out. The third key player is no surprise, but he needs to be mentioned. And there's a specific reason why I have him. Patrick Mahomes. He's always a key player, but in this game, I'm focusing more on his turnovers. Now, the big issue this year when it comes to the Chiefs' losses is impromptu turnovers and overall just not exactly corralling and keeping the ball safe, I think is the bigger thing. And Mahomes has been a big problem with that. He's fumbled it, he's thrown 14 interceptions. But on the contrary, his postseason, it's not like the regular season. He has 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. This guy has he will have a full season worth of statistics coming up after this game. And yet, guess what? This season in 2023, he threw 14 interceptions. Say he throws just one or even none in this game, he's going to have half that in his postseason career. He turns on a switch, he knows what he's doing, and I trust that he'll control the ball and protect the ball in the right manner. But it is key, and he needs to do that if the Chiefs want to win. Here's what you can do, though. Predict Mahomes' stat line in the comment section. Will he throw an interception? Will he not? How many touchdowns is he going to throw? How many yards is he going to go through? Go down there, give me yards, touchdowns, interceptions. I want to see what y'all are thinking for Patrick Mahomes come game time against the Mr. Ravens. Let's talk about Travis Kelce, the tight end, who also is a big key because if Mahomes is going to be talked about, his favorite target needs to be talked about, and that's Travis Kelce. Now, Kelce, in my mind, has been one of these guys that is just Mr. Reliable. When the lights shine bright, that's where Mahomes goes. And it's proven because in the postseason, he goes to him all the time. They have the record, in fact, for most postseason touchdowns by a QB receiver duo, which is funny because that guy's not a receiver. Kelce's not a receiver. They're both tight ends. Guess what, though? The two greatest quarterbacks of all time, at least in our generation right here, they're the reasons that they go to. They're tight ends. Maybe there's a sign there. 16 touchdowns in the postseason for Mahomes and Kelce, and 15 touchdowns for Mr. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. Going along with that, that's why I got my prize picks with Mr. Travis Kelce, because guess what? If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS, you're going to get a first deposit match of up to $100. I'm telling you right now, Mahomes trusts Kelce, so he is going to give him his shots. So the more on receiving yards for Kelce, 64.5, that's just a lock. I don't know how much of a lock you can get, but I trust him. Same tone, Isiah Pacheco. I expect him to get carries early. The secondary for Baltimore is way better than their defensive line. The running game is going to have to get going. So that's more or less 66.5 yards. That's just got to happen. And Lamar, we know what he's capable of. It just makes sense. You're going to give Lamar the ball. I'm going over, or rather more, on the 55.5 rushing yards. Now, Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And it's cool because it's not just football. Obviously, we're kind of winding down. So you're like, well, Jace, what do I do when that's over? That's fine. They got NBA Prize Picks. They got MLB Prize Picks coming out here in a couple weeks. They got NHL. They've pretty much got every sport and a bunch of cool stat types as well. Now, quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy app. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this, you can get a $100 deposit match if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS. So go down to the comment section and the description. You're going to find that link to go get that $100 deposit match. Go check it out right now and put it on Travis Kelce and the more on his receiving yards. Let's look at some keys to the game here before we kind of dive into my score prediction. The first one is to control Lamar Jackson. We've talked about this all week, but it's very key, not just with his arm, but with his legs. His 2023 stats, they're kind of baffling. 24 touchdowns through the air, along with 5 on the ground. But the bigger thing is, he was almost, or less than 200 yards away from a 1,000-yard rushing season as a quarterback. He's the rushing attack. That's what it is. You can trust Gus Edwards. I think Justice Hill has a good mindset of running backs, but the run game is Lamar Jackson. That's what you have to control. And if you can do that, that is going to be a big key in this game. The second key to the game, get Rashee Rice going. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jace, he's been playing great. What are you talking about? I know, and he has been, but against the Buffalo Bills, he wasn't the same. 4 targets, 4 receptions for 47 yards, and only 11.8 on the average, which you ask, only 11.8, that's pretty good. Correct, but the week prior against the Dolphins, his average was almost over 15. And I say this because 47 yards for Rashee Rice was the fewest total since week 11 against the Philadelphia Eagles, which after that was when he truly became wide receiver 1 for this Chiefs team. And he kind of hopped on board with, okay, I trust Mahomes, Mahomes trusts me, and he got a lot more targets since then. We've seen a really growth in Rashee Rice in just his rookie season, which I want to show some love to him because of it, because I think he could be a really key part in this game against even a good Ravens secondary. So let's show some love to Rashee Rice by typing RR, double R. That's what he has, his Twitter handle and his Instagram. Let's type it down in the comment section of today's video. RR for Rashee Rice. Go get it down there, because I'm telling you, if we do that, the good vibes keep rolling. He's definitely going to have a good game. So I know who comments. I'm going to go down there. And guess what? If you're not one of those, I hate to say it, if he doesn't have a good game, it's on you. Just don't do it. Don't risk it. Go down there and type RR. It takes 2 seconds. And you can do it in this ad break real quick. When you scroll up, we'll be right back. We also have a third key here talking about Patrick Mahomes and something I mentioned earlier in this video. Don't turn the ball over. You asked me, Jace, they can't be that bad. They can't be. If you look at the playoff teams that are left currently, the AFC Championship contenders and the NFC Championship contenders, the Chiefs have far and away the most turnovers in 2023 between these 4 teams. They have 10 more than San Fran. They've got 9 more than Baltimore. And the guy who is just above them, the Lions, they have 5 more still. Guess what? It cannot happen. It cannot against the Ravens team, who doesn't turn the ball over on top of it. 19 turnovers. You cannot turn the ball over against this team. That is a huge, huge key. On top of which, score early and often. If you can force a turnover, if your defense can get the ball back in your offense's hand and get an early lead, I think getting up early would just be so huge. Now, if you ask why, I think it's probably because the Ravens haven't really had to do that this year. Thinking back throughout their games, the losses that they did had were close. They weren't like they were ever that bad or, a blowout. They never really had to play from behind. Even in the Texans game this past weekend, they never really were back. They always had control. If you take that away from a team that is really not experienced in the playoffs compared to you, that's a big, big key. And I think overall, it could really make a difference in this game. You get up early, you force the agenda on Lamar Jackson, well, watch out. You may get the win. Let's go to the 5th one, and it's the most important one. Don't beat yourself. I've said this time and time again, but I just want to go back to it real quick. The Chiefs have just kind of beaten themselves, to be honest. Let's go to week 1. Kadarius Toney pops the ball off his hands, pick 6 for Burns. That stinks. He drops the ball that puts the Chiefs in field goal range. You lose by 1. Marquez Valdes-Scantling drops a potential game-winning touchdown pass against the Eagles. There's your 2nd loss. I'm not going to give anything for the Broncos. That just kind of happened. It happens, whatever. Oh, well. Then you talk about the Raiders game. Turnovers. Patrick Mahomes in back-to-back plays freaking fumbled the ball on a trick play, which was stupid. And then he threw a pick 6 to Jones. That was the obvious thing of obvious. He went on a really, looked him down, Rashee Rice. Pick 6, 2 plays. There's 3 losses right now that could have easily been avoided if you don't shoot yourself in the foot. And then the Packers game was tough. Obviously, the pass interference, not pass interference. Who's to say if MVS would have even caught it? But at the same time, that also hurts. But still, 3 of your losses were on you and you alone. It stinks, but it's the truth. Don't do it this Sunday. Don't do it. Let's predict the score for this game for the Chiefs and the Ravens. What do you have for this game? I'm going to tell you mine here in just a second, but do me a favor. Go down there and predict the score for the Chiefs versus Ravens. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close one. What do you have? My score? Chiefs are coming out on top. I've said this all week. Experience over talent. That's what the Chiefs have. I think that the Ravens are probably the more talented team. Are they crazy talented over Chiefs? No. But when you have the experience and you are close enough on talent, guess what? That makes up for a lot. Going Chiefs 28, Ravens 24. Final, we'll see you in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to be excited for it. And we're going to see you for the game versus the Ravens. We're going to be live at 12 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you hang out with us. A 2-hour live show. We're going to be having a good time. Me and Sam partying all day long. We appreciate you. And as always, Chiefs Kingdom, peace out.